what you find is, in fact, the process of making educated gambles is going to be key to maintaining sustainable innovation. And the reason I like to use this analogy is that if you study leading innovators, what you find is something interesting, and that is that they never stop innovating. They're constantly experimenting and exploring with new business ventures, new business strategies, because unless you got a crystal ball that works, really the secret to making smarter decisions in disruptive environments is largely a process of controlled speculation, making educated gambles, right? It's about making these controlled wagers, and you make small probing business bets in different areas with different strategies, different products, different services, different pricing programs, and only when you're certain that you've got that winning hand is when you start to put chips in the pot. I actually had the chance to speak with a number of professional poker players, and they will tell you that it's not about chance or luck. It's about constantly feeling out the table and thinking about when you have the odds playing in your success, and only then do you start to throw your chips in the pot. And by the way, if you happen to be a fan of the lean startup parlance, which seems so popular these days, essentially what we're getting at is the essence of pivoting, right? Dipping your toes into the water in different areas, constantly turning and shifting in business strategy until you find firm ground on which to move forward. So, essentially what market leaders are doing is they're managing strategic innovation, a portfolio of business bets, the same way that you might a financial portfolio as well. So they're constantly playing multiple bets, they're constantly diversifying those bets in different arenas, and they're monitoring that innovation portfolio and constantly readjusting it based on the feedback that they get from the marketplace. Up until a couple years ago, United Airlines, when you had unforeseen outages, things like weather storms, electrical difficulties, delayed jets, delayed connectors, what would happen is that it would take them hundreds of employees, averaging about 2 to 3 minutes a pop, to get the thousands of individuals, the passengers who were delayed, back on track and reroute them to their destination. But then what happens is a customer calls up United's IT support desk. And the crazy part about it is, it's just a customer. This is not a United executive who comes up with this and says, hey guys, hey geniuses, you knew I was going to be delayed before I ever got to my destination. Couldn't you have done something about it before I had to spend hours in line? And somebody at the IT support desk says, maybe there's something to this idea, and experiments and tries an automated rebooking system. And today, this automated rebooking system actually serves millions of passengers and tracks where you are in flight and can automatically rebook you if you're going to be delayed in 2 to 3 seconds. No actual human body is involved in this process. So you can literally hit the ground running right when you hit your destination. Although possibly, how fast is going to depend entirely on how far away your connecting gate is. It takes a radical shift in mindset to embrace. So just to put things in perspective, some of you may be familiar with Royal Dutch Shell, or Shell as we know them simply in the US, market-leading global energy provider, exports about 3 million barrels of oil, 20 million tons of natural gas around the world every single year. So probably not the first place you would expect to find employees starting a fire, let alone voluntarily. But as I got to talking to them, you find out that they have a global leadership training program called Empower. And Empower is specifically designed to spark leaders' imagination, to set their ability to connect, to innovate, to really rethink problems and be more creative with solutions ablaze. And I got to talking to a gentleman called Mandar Apta, who heads up this Empower program at Shell. And what he tells me is that as they prepare hundreds of tomorrow's leaders, top executives, to face increasingly new and unforeseen business problems, things we never had to face in previous generations, like incredibly fast-changing and unpredictable environments, he and his colleagues have made some really surprising discoveries. And chief among them is the fact that the #1 barrier to innovation in organizations of every size, including global enterprises, is not really a question of getting management buy-in, it's not a question of securing support, it's not about strategic alignment or how much cash you have in the bank to throw at the problem. Oftentimes, he finds the single biggest factor stopping us from innovating is simply our own sense of perspective. And in fact, it's a resistance to change, a lack of risk tolerance. What happens is every year, Booz & Company, just to put things in a little bit of perspective, studies hundreds of the world's top innovators, companies like Google, Amazon, Samsung, GE, to see what makes them tick, to see what their #1 source of competitive advantage is. And you may be surprised to learn that time and time again, what the studies show is that it has nothing to do with the amount of money that they can throw at a problem. It's not about having brighter ideas. It's not about having better talent. In fact, their #1 source of competitive advantage advantage is actually simply proven to be that they have better frameworks in place that allow their people to speak up, share ideas, brainstorm new concepts and new solutions, and then transform those ideas into action.